Welcome to RotoWire's Fantasy Football Draft Season, sponsored by Circa's Fantasy Football Draft Giveaway. Here are the top running back tiers that help you dominate your fantasy football drafts. Tier 1 is a two-player tier. Bijan Robinson, Saquon Barkley. Either order is fine. Both should see elite volume. Bijan Robinson, the one thing to watch out for, only averaged 2 catches for 8 yards down the stretch with Michael Penix. We were counting on big receiving volume. That could be an issue, but Bijan Robinson seeing elite volume down the stretch. Again, high floor, high ceiling, superstar player. Saquon Barkley, the only worry is he had about 480 plus touches through the NFL playoffs last year, and it's possible you could see a little regression there, but otherwise, look, elite player, elite offensive line, receiving weapon, so Barkley isn't always the focal point of defenses. The Eagles should play with leads. Both are great choices at the top of your draft. Tier 2, we have Jahmyr Gibbs and Ashton Jeanty. Jahmyr Gibbs, if he can maintain a good portion of his late season work when David Montgomery was injured, we definitely have running back overall number 1 upside. However, don't forget that when Gibbs and Montgomery were both on the field, it was more common for Gibbs to be in the 15 to 20 fantasy point range per game with some spike weeks. And so you're making a bet on Gibbs that his workload will be increased because the genie's been out of the bottle. It's also possible David Montgomery comes in and takes a good share of work. He is one of those heart and soul player of the team. Jahmyr Gibbs is actually in this high of a tier, a little boomer bust. No, the bust for him is running back 5 or 6, so it's not really a bust, but you see what I'm saying. Ashton Jeanty is fully expected to get significant volume with the Las Vegas Raiders. Pete Carroll, head coach of the team, Chip Kelly coaching the offense. Little whispers that Raheem Mostert, 33 years old, could see some passing down work. We don't like to hear that, but regardless, Jeanty should see a very, very high floor of touches, should be over 300. That gives him a stable floor, even though we've never seen the rookie play a game in the NFL. Tier 3. 3 players here. You got Christian McCaffrey, Devon Achane, and Derrick Henry. In this group, Christian McCaffrey, look, 4 seasons he has played the full year. He's been the running back 1 or the running back 2. Especially if you want to take down a tournament, McCaffrey is that player a few spots out of those first few picks who could win your league. If you're in a single 12-team league with friends, it may be a risk because remember, in 3 of the last 5 years, McCaffrey's missed at least half the season. Last year, we remember, played a few games. That's a concern. But if you take another angle, you could say in 2 of the last 3 years, McCaffrey's been on the field all the time. Last year wasn't really, that Achilles was not really a football injury. So fully healthy now, could win your league. Devon Achane, the only concern with Achane is the few games that Tua Tagovailoa didn't play, Achane only averaged about 7 PPR points. The offense had no identity in that scenario. Achane was fine and great when Tua was on the field. So if you're hitching your wagon to Achane, you may also be hitching your wagon to the injury history of Tua Tagovailoa. That's my only concern. Achane, electrifying player. Derrick Henry, one of the safest players on the board. Back in 2021, he broke his foot. Otherwise, the man does not miss time. Last year, the Baltimore Ravens figured out the optimal offense in week 10 or 11. Henry was averaging 140 yards a game the rest of the way. So Derrick Henry shows no signs of decline. He is the safest player in either tier 2 or tier 3. But because of the lack of receiving work, he doesn't always have quite the upside the other players above him have. Circa Million and Circa Survivor are back with a massive $21 million in guaranteed prizes. Circa Million, you pick 5 games against the spread each week, 18 weeks of actions with 126 ways to win. $1 million for the winner, it's $6 million overall guaranteed. The Circa Survivor, 1 pick a week, no point spread, lasts the longest to win it all, at least $15 million guaranteed. Enter in Nevada, play from anywhere, $21 million guaranteed. Visit circa.com, circasports.com for details. All right, tier 4, you have Bucky Irving, Jonathan Taylor, and Josh Jacobs. Jonathan Taylor has an incredible ceiling. We know he has the ability to be right there with the overall running back one, but durability the last few years has been a major issue, and that's the concern. When we finished last year, Jonathan Taylor was going red hot at the end of the year. The last 4 games, averaging about 29 carries, yardage through the roof, touchdowns every week. He was playing at that super elite level we know. But again, you're counting on durability. So Jonathan Taylor could be one of those players that could win your league, but also could miss 4 to 6 games and really hurt your standing. Bucky Irving, magical rookie season. Everything went right in Tampa Bay last year. Liam Cohen was the coach and calling all the shots, motions. The offensive line is playing great. The play sequencing. It was a perfect storm. Maybe Bucky Irving is elite no matter what. And if you count on that being all the great tackle breaking, the yards after counting, go in on Bucky Irving. But if you're worried that last year was a perfect storm and Irving was along for the ride, there might be some unrealized downside you weren't thinking about. Then there's Josh Jacobs in tier 4. He is the safest player in this tier. I mentioned earlier, Derrick Henry is super safe, but Henry has an extremely high floor and ceiling. Josh Jacobs is kind of like Derrick Henry light. You're going to get probably a full season. Only once I remember him missing time a couple of years ago at the end of the year in Las Vegas. But Jacobs, he's going to get you significant yardage as a runner and receiver. You're going to get goal line work. We saw the Packers switch to Jacobs as the engine in the offense in the second half last year. So expect more of that. But Jacobs, again, super safe pick. Maybe doesn't have the ceiling of the top 3 tier players, but his ceiling certainly is good as well as his floor. And then there's tier 5. Kyren Williams of the Rams, Breece Hall of the Jets, and Chase Brown of the Bengals. Kyren Williams, regardless, the team brings in Blake Corum last year. This year, Jarquez Hunter. But the team keeps talking about wanting to extend Kyren Williams' contract. Kyren Williams has been a volume machine for 2 years running. Last year, the touchdowns fell off a little bit from the prior year. The efficiency dropped a little bit, but Coach Sean McVay has shown full confidence in Kyren Williams. So Kyren Williams, the expectation is that continues. You can continue to roll with Kyren Williams. Breece Hall, very disappointing year last year. He was not great at breaking tackles, less than 50th percentile, not great at yards after contact, same range of percentile, not a good season. Well, I saw an interview with Breece Hall, and Breece Hall claims that he was playing through a sprained MCL knee issue all year long. That's the only way it makes sense that Hall had a down year, because he was a superstar his first 2 years. I'm buying the fact that his knee was injured. I am fully buying in on Breece Hall being one of the values in fantasy football. Remember, Breece Hall was a top 2 running back in drafts last year. He has that level of ability. You're getting him about running back 13 in this tier 5. I think he's the player that could be your league winner. And then there's Chase Brown. Chase Brown does not have a lot of serious competition. Zach Moss, back from injury, had already lost his job to Chase Brown last year. Taj Brooks drafted in the 6th round. 6th round running backs, real dicey as to whether they're going to be big contributors. Chase Brown should see a lot of room with defenses focused on the Cincinnati passing game. He should have room as a receiver to run, room as a runner, should get some red zone work. Chase Brown should have a very high floor, a moderate ceiling, not a win your league type, but certainly that Cincinnati offense, they're going to have to score a lot of points. Hey, thanks for watching, and don't forget to enter the Circa Million and Circa Survivor contest with a massive $21 million in guaranteed prizes. You go to circalasvegas.com for details.